that the communications team put together was this pamphlet you have on your table. If you would take a look at that, I'm going to spend a few minutes just walking us through this. It won't take long because we want to get to the panel that we have in place, and we want to get to that and spend plenty of time. So the first thing that you're going to see on the first page there is the strategic plan that we have for the Hillsboro School District. We put a strategic plan together every 5 years, and that plan helps guide our work for the next 5 years into the future. The thing that is so important about this is that it allows us to focus on particular elements within the school district and to stay the course on those elements regardless of what the financial picture brings or what happens statewide. It allows us just to keep a common purpose. So if you turn to the next page there, what we want to do is see so many times organizations, they put together strategic plans and they sit on a shelf somewhere and they're not something that gets utilized and they just gather dust. One of the things that we're proud of is that each year we take our strategic plan and we want to break that down into bite-sized chunks. So you'll see the 2017-18 work plan there. Those are the specific things that we're focused on for this coming year. That's important to us because we want to make the strategic plan a living part of our organization and the item that truly does guide our work. You'll see that we've got it divided up into 3 different categories there: community, culture, and career. And you can read the goals under each of those. The process that we use to come by the annual goals, it's a combination of staff input and then the board giving input as well. And together we arrive on what are those focus areas for the upcoming school year going to be. That typically happens at, the conversation started in the spring, gets finalized during the summer months, and then we move forward into the school year. So again, I won't read those to you, but I just wanted to point out that those are there. On the next page, you may have heard that we have passed a school bond. It's kind of a quiet little thing under the radar. So one of the things that we're really proud of is that $408 million will be invested back into the community and for our students. And the impact that will make on our students' educational experience during their time with us is absolutely amazing. So I'm really excited about that. You'll see as you read through here that it's focused into 4 different areas. The first one being safety and security. Obviously hugely important for us. It's a national phenomenon right now and one that we take very seriously. We're proud of our safety efforts that we have in Hillsboro, but we also know that it was going to take an influx of dollars to take that to the next level. And so when we talk about safety and security, it's everything from having a line of sight from the front doors of the school to the office. It's everything. It's things like having a vestibule in place, so as people enter, they're funneled into a certain area. It's having cameras. It's seismic upgrades. It is having repeaters in the building so first responders can communicate to their folks on the outside. So a million different things around that, but the investment that we're making in the safety and security of our students is just a top priority for us. It continues to be something that we will focus on. We also know that we're a growing community. If you look at the construction that's taking place in South Hillsboro, if you look at all the infill that's taken place within our city on those on lots that were once empty and now have construction on them. If you look in North Plains, where it's set to double in size in the next couple of years, the growth is absolutely amazing what's coming at us. So this bond will allow us to build 3 new elementary schools. It'll allow us to expand at Glencoe High School. It'll allow us to expand at Evergreen as well. We're going to have the opportunity to upgrade furniture that has been in our buildings for, I don't know, some have been there a long time, 50, 60 years, I'm afraid, on a lot of them. A number of our elementary schools have gym and cafetoriums, so a single-use space where you have gym class, you have lunch in there. It's an auditorium. It's where the drama or any type of assembly takes place. This will allow us to build gymnasiums for those schools and relieve the crowding that takes place as we try and hold all of those events into one space. Something that we're excited about, that as we build those new gymnasiums and as we build new schools, we're going to have the opportunity to build those in a manner that they'll be built to the immediate occupancy standard. So in the event that there were a major earthquake, that would be a community spot where we could house community members, we could house students, and we could immediately reoccupy the building if there were an event. So excited to provide that service to our students and the community as well. We have a lot, so we've got 35 buildings, we've got 35 schools in the school district, and a number of those schools are really big. I mean, you just walk, drive by, you can say, oh, that's another school. And the opportunity to reinvest in those schools and to bump up the infrastructure of those schools and to modernize some of it is something that's really important to us. Everything from the most basic things to plumbing and HVAC and boilers, those kinds of things need assistance. Hill High and Reedville are going to receive some pretty major dollars in terms of renovations that are taking place. We've got portable buildings throughout the district at our schools. A number of those portables will be replaced. Some of those will be replaced with modular buildings, not only expand capacity, but it'll just be a cleaner build and a better look on the site as well. Then the last area is just the modernization of our school programs. We're able to put together a standard classroom package. So the expectation is that each of our classrooms would have a base set of equipment, whether that be technology or whether it be projection or whether it be sound, the ability to amplify sound for the teacher, just a variety of different things. But there's a classroom standard that now we can put in place throughout all of our schools in each of our classrooms, and that's something we're excited about. The CTE expansion, the career and technical education that is going to be expanded with this build out, is going to be absolutely amazing. The opportunity, you're going to hear a little bit about that today, but the opportunity that our kids are going to have to participate in additional career and technical education courses. So biotech, computer science, animal science, construction tech. There's a long list, I won't read them all to you, but just the opportunities that our students are going to have are absolutely amazing for them. If you didn't have the opportunity to vote yes on this bond, in 9 years you'll have another opportunity. Would invite you to participate. So anyway, that is the bond. Thank you, really thank you for all of your work to get the bond passed. There's so many people in this room that put in countless hours on this bond, and the fact that it came to be for our students is something we couldn't be more proud of. On the next page, on the fold-out there, you'll see our key achievement indicators, and those are areas that we track from year to year to make sure that we're making the progress that we are planning on an annual basis. And by keeping these key achievement indicators the same from year to year, it allows us just to see how we're doing over time. You'll see a few of those have stars by them. The ones that have the stars by them, those are those areas that the board have identified as board priorities. And those are something that we report to the board on a quarterly basis. All right, winding up here. The next couple pages, it really is just a summary of some of the highlights of our district. You'll see that we're 20,686 students and operating budget of $301.7 million, or total budget, I should say. So we're a large organization, and when you have a large organization, one of our goals always is to not become that corporate entity, but to remain personalized and to keep those relationships alive and to make sure that we're investing in those relationships. Over and over again, when we talk to students in our system, it becomes very clear that the number one thing that drives their success is a relationship that they have between themselves and the teacher, or themselves and or a staff unit at the school. And we know that if we can capitalize on those relationships and keep moving kids in a positive direction, then we're going to have a positive experience for our students. We're excited about the grad rates that we have, 84.1% this last year. And the nice thing about that is we continue to be on an upward climb with our graduation rate. It puts us 7.5, let's just call it 8 points higher than the state average. We round up when it's in our favor. So 84% this year, and the nice thing about that, not only do we feel good about being above the state average, but if you were to compare us to schools that are like us with similar student demographics, similar communities, we're far outperforming those communities. So we feel great about that. We know though, with 84% grad rates, that there's still a lot of work to do. And we continue to have very specific plans to increase the grad rates and increase the performance rates of some of those subgroups of students that aren't doing as well as some of the subgroup of the other subgroups. So heading in the right direction, and planning for continued growth there. I am going to stop now because I'm already over time, but there's a lot of good information in here, and thanks for the communication team for putting it together. Please take an opportunity to look through it and to familiarize yourself with it. At this point, I wanted to give Ryan Petrig the opportunity to do a couple thank yous.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Yeah, so I'm Ryan Petrig. I'm the Director of Extracurricular Services and Community Outreach. It's a pleasure to see you all here this morning. Like I said in my intro, I'm a former high school graduate here at Glencoe High School, and was a former principal at Evergreen Middle School. And Ms. Morani, how are you? Good to see you. You've grown up well, one of our former students over here. So I have one of the best jobs in the district, and my job is really to do some of the things that Mike alluded to earlier when you talk about community and culture in the Hillsboro School District. And in Hillsboro, we want to make sure that every kid is known by name, strength, and need. And so, like Mike said, we don't want to become an organization that is just gigantic, where we have these faceless kids walking around school. We want to have a school district where every kid is known by name, they know them by their strength, and they know what they need, and that they're going to be cared for each and every day. And most importantly, they're going to be connected at school. If you think about how important it is in this day and age to make sure that kids are connected at school, I'm not sure there's anything more important. I kept track as we went around the room this morning and we shared out about the classes and stuff that we enjoyed, and well over 50% of them were classes that we would probably say are non-core type classes. Classes that really piqued a certain interest with us. So my job is to create opportunities for kids that are going to make sure that kids are connected at school. And we struggle with resources. I think you saw that we're in that summit pamphlet that was handed out there. We've had to make $70 million worth of cuts since 2010, 2011. And so I have the privilege of working with local businesses to try to make ends meet, to make more opportunities for kids. And we've had a lot of really positive, generous companies that have partnered with us. This last year we made about $166,000 that we were able to funnel into creating new programs or supporting current programs that we have in the Hillsboro School District. So several of our anchor sponsors could not make it this morning, but I wanted to mention them by name. McDonald's actually donated $13,000 for us. We've used their money in order to have kids that want to participate in extracurriculars, but they don't have like the tennis shoes, or the equipment to do it. So we've taken that money and provided that opportunity so that no kid is not coming out for something or getting involved because they don't have access to equipment. We've had Wolf Dental has been a great contributor to us. They've helped us create a new track program at the elementary school level, trying to get more and more kids out. That's also in conjunction with Providence Medical Center, which is sponsoring us in that and doing some health and wellness activities. And our biggest, I would say, our biggest sponsor in the Hillsboro School District are here this morning, so I want to take just a couple of minutes and highlight them. The Hillsboro Hops have been instrumental in supporting our Hillsboro kids in a variety of ways. And that goes from like doing things where the ownership group is coming in the morning to work with kids on math, because their favorite class in high school is trigonometry, so that they get math. That includes supporting the Hillsboro School Foundation, which has been so wonderful for our Hillsboro School District. It includes being an anchor sponsor and donating $12,000 to us so that we could help create more opportunities for kids. They host us at we have a summer camp for underprivileged kids that don't get the opportunity to go to camps. that we've started in conjunction with the Hillsboro Police Department, the Fire Department. It also includes a very generous gift to help us with the bond to create more field and playable spaces for our kids. And there'll be an announcement about that coming up. So if you could do me a favor and please give Mike and Laura McMurray from the Hillsboro Hops a big round of applause. So this plaque says, the Hillsboro School District recognizes the Hillsboro Hops for contributing generously and partnering to create opportunities for Hillsboro youth. And it's signed by our superintendent. And of course, it's got our tagline at the bottom, HSD Connected, because we want all of our kids to be connected. And I don't think any organization does as much for our kids to help them be connected than the Hillsboro Hops. So Mike and Laura, thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, next we'd like to introduce Beth Raker. She's going to walk us through our next panel.
Yes, thank you. First, I'm testing out these mics. They do work. Awesome. If I could have everybody who's participating on the student panel come and get in place here at the dais, and also have Mia Tognoli and Maddie Morati come up here. As they mentioned in their introduction, Maddie and Mia are two of our SCOM, our student communications team members, and they were kind enough to agree to help us moderate the student panel this morning.
Stay up.
We have some extra chairs here. Good Jeff, there's some stand chairs right behind you there. Okay, give each of you ladies a mic. Can you pick it up and then just do the question? Yeah, okay. I'm going to just help kick it off, and then my wonderful helpers here are going to ask some of the follow-up questions to our panel. So first of all, we would like each of you in turn to, I know you already said who you were, but maybe give a little bit more information about who you are, what you do, and then your experience with our various student support systems. Each of you is here to represent a different thing about Hillsboro School District that makes us great, be that alternative learning options, robotics programs, AVID, other student support systems like graduation coaches and wellness, student support and wellness coaches. So if you could each just take a couple of minutes and just go a little deeper about who you are and what you do and what things that you've experienced or help students experience in our system. And each of your mics should be on, so.
Hello? Is it on? Oh, sorry. My name is Corey Sakamoto, and I am the 9th grade graduation coach over at Hillsboro High School. And then the student support system that I'm involved with is the graduation coach, and then I also, I'm also taking over as the 9th grade on-track coordinator. So we're kind of spearheading this 9th grade on-track work that we know is very, very important, as a transition year. So we want to make sure that all students are getting off to the right start, making sure they earn at least 6 credits by the time they leave us at the 9th grade level, and making sure that they are successful for the rest of their high school careers.
I'm Nick Ogden. I'm the
I don't think you have to hold it down.
Oh, I don't have to hold it down?
I don't think so. I think that might be your call button. Is that correct, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should just be able to talk into it.
All right. I'm Nick Ogden. I'm a senior at Glencoe High School and the captain of our robotics team. I've been involved with that for 4 years. I'm also heavily involved with our the CTE and STEM career pathways. And robotics has been absolutely life-changing for me, and it's what gets me through the day at this point. And yeah, that's why I'm here.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Cruz Hernandez, senior at Liberty High School, and the support systems that I'm involved with are Health Sciences Career Pathway and AVID. Right now in Health Sciences, what we're focusing on as seniors is our senior projects, etc., that being involving our placements and rotations in hospitals. We also do CPR training, anatomical clay hearts and skeletons, medical terminology, etc., through PCC, and we are able to get some dual credits through that.
Hello, my name is Mirna Pencos, and I'm currently a student at Hill High, and I'm representing the dual language program and also the WU Scholar. And I've been in the dual language program since kinder, and throughout my whole journey. We'll be the third generation that will be graduating with our diploma, our dual language.
I'm Melanie Shaw.
Honey, wait, before you move on, could you tell everybody what WU Scholars, what does that mean?
So the WU Scholars offers a scholarship for bilingual teaching. So it's offering, about 20 students. We had interviews yesterday, and it allows us to, they're helping us to go to Western Oregon and support us with our education and teaching. It's either elementary school, middle school, or high school. That's pretty much it.
I'm Melanie Shaw. I'm an AVID senior at Century High School. I've been an AVID for 4 years, and it's truly been life-changing. It opened a pathway to college and knowing what to expect and how to apply for scholarships and colleges.
Hi, I'm Danny Adzema. I'm a freshman at Big Picture High School. Big Picture is an alternative high school that is, its main focus is student-based learning, meaning that you as a student decide what you learn and when you learn it, instead of learning from something that a teacher sets out. You still have to meet all the standards that every other high school student does, but we get to decide how we meet them. Big Picture has let me have many amazing opportunities, from the internship that I do with the city of Hillsboro in the HR department to a job shadow I did with Janine Solomon a little bit ago. It was really fun.
Hi, my name is Priscilla, and I am a senior at Century High School. I am in academic options, and it's been a great support this year because they have helped me get job shadows, and they've also helped me apply for scholarships and just get caught up and on track to graduate and stuff.
Hi, my name is Brenda Mary Wong. I'm a graduation coach at Century High School. I'm stationed out of academic options with Mr. Gower, but I help support all grade levels at the high school. I coordinate with teachers, counselors, our admin to make sure that we provide academic support for our students, to make sure that they continue being on track, but also helping them create a path for after graduation, whether that's with going to college or university or pursuing a career straight out of high school.
So I'm Jeff Gower. I work at Century High School. I'm the Academic Options Coordinator there. It's a program we started about 13 years ago, and Brenda's quickly becoming my boss. She's very good. We approach kids in a more holistic manner. You hear about the consulting. We consult with the admin, with teachers. We work with students with student-based learning. We use an online program to support curriculum to have a more valid curriculum base. But we really work at building relationships. Mike's alluded to that several times. That's been the key to our success. And as Mr. Peter talked about, is making sure we know who kids are, those subgroups, building relationships, meeting them where they're at. That's working with everybody in the school, trying to make sure that no one slips through the cracks. So it's been an exciting program. Grad coach does great. Priscilla's part of the program. She's come to us this year, and we were able to do some intervention there, and she's taken off. So it's a really neat program.
Thank you so much. Next, we're going to move on to our second question. What do you want our community to know about student support systems in HSD? How could they support as an industry partner or community partner to support staff and students?
So a few things. Over at Hill High, we are starting to implement Tier 1 and Tier 2 supports in the classroom. And then we also have a variety of outside supports such as youth contact. And then with Measure 98 money, we were able to bring in student support and wellness counselors in addition to grad coaches, and there's 3 of them at Hill High. So those have been key. Also, we have a school clinic over at Central. Continue to, I think that we're in a step in the right direction in regards to all of the community outreach. Mentorships play a big role at Hill High. Those kids take pride, being from their community and being from Hillsboro. So then being able to have mentorships in the community, especially targeting the younger ages and especially keying in on those transition years. We know that those transition years are very pivotal, especially for myself, just working at the 9th grade level, just trying to make that process a little smoother, giving those students, that opportunity just to hold on to something and take pride in that, so continuing our efforts in that direction, definitely a step in the right direction.
So the robotics program is almost entirely dependent on community and industry partnerships. We receive no direct funding from the school. The Hillsboro School District is very generous in their support for the team. But we have actually 2 this year, teacher, coaches, but the rest is all local professionals that volunteer their time to mentor our team. We have 17 mentors from around local industry, Intel, Synopsys, even a Christmas tree farm. And without their support, this program does not happen. It's absolutely life-changing because the kids are no longer to ask the question, when am I going to use this? Because you're working with direct industry professionals who use what they're teaching you every single day at their jobs. And the more support we have, the more we can grow the program. So just time and money, and the time from your employees, your company, and just we can use any sort of money or resources you could give the team.
Probably the biggest need that a lot of the focus programs have in the high schools is also volunteers, especially since one teacher can only do so much. Since these programs are career focused and career based, we need more volunteers from also community partners to be able to volunteer with mock interviews, job shadows. The Hillsboro Chamber has been very generous in being able to provide our students with a lot of opportunities, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to try to get all the students in the district and out of the district to be able to have all they need for their graduation requirements. So if you can't give back the materials, what you can give back is your time and your effort and volunteering and being able to help out with the kids.
So, like I said, going back to the dual language program, it has, opened a lot of doors for men. And it's awesome to, I was talking to one of the lady that was sitting at the table, and she was saying how, her daughter's taking dual classes too, and, it all started, in one school, and now it's spreading to other schools. And I think, it's a great thing for other students to learn both English and Spanish and practice them. So, it could lead to other, job offerings that, because nowadays it's very important, to know English and Spanish. So, and I don't know, it's just very supportive. So we could continue with all that.
AVID has changed my life, and I don't mean that in a cliche way, but without AVID, I am confident to say that I would have dropped out by now. AVID has exposed me to college and opportunities and allowed me to tour campuses and has given me much more than what I signed up for. I think being open to AVID would be beneficial because I know there are some teachers who don't like the idea of AVID, but it truly does change lives and improves students as well.
So before we move on to the next speaker, could you explain to me a little bit about the structure of AVID?
So AVID, in the last 4 years, my AVID class has been with the same teacher. We do Cornell notes, we do college research, We have binder checks. It's more than a class, it's more like a family. And it's just mainly focused on college and how to get there, how to be successful, how to improve our academic work.
At Big Picture, the main way that community helpers and community involvement comes in is with our internships. One of the main models of Big Picture is the idea of leaving to learn. Instead of learning at a desk and constantly in a classroom, you go out into the community and you go out the world to find what you need to learn. So how a community partner could help is by offering a student a job shadow, giving them an internship or an ability to kind of learn what you do, and helping the student explore your career path or what your company does. And it really helps that situation if you do that. The Hillsboro, oh gosh, you said it earlier, Chamber, thank you. The Hillsboro Chamber does help us with that. We have a student at the Hillsboro Chamber, and they also help us find community partners that are willing to take in a student. And it's taking a student and letting them see how you work is something that can change a life forever. And it can only take a couple months or a day even.
So for me, academic options at Century has been like a big support, because not only did they help me to catch up on my credits, but they also, like I said, they helped me with other stuff, and they met me like as an individual student. And I feel that more schools should have like the same support, like not just a credit recovery class, but teachers who actually care about you as an individual and try to help you like in your life outside of school. Like what Brenda said, that they help you with scholarships and just trying to find like a good college.
Before we move on to the next speaker, I'd like to know how academic options makes your day look and how it's.
What is the real experience of that? What does that mean? I wonder if people in the audience are wondering, what does that mean to be an academic options? What does that look like?
Well, it's basically a class where you make up your credits that you didn't get from failed classes. But in academic options at Century High School, it's more like you just get more support like from your teachers, because it's not really just making up your credits. It's more you can work on your homework from like other classes, like if you're behind, or like I said, they help you with like getting job shadows and getting in contact with like your teachers, like if you're struggling.
First of all, I want to thank all the community members that do support HSD. I think it's a great relationship building, not just for staff members, but for our students to really see how the community comes together. I think more than anything, just considering the fact that all the support that you guys do provide really does invest not only on our students, but also our staff member and our community. So that investment back in our communities is definitely something that we need to continue doing to be able to keep growing and doing a great job that we've been doing so far. I think someone mentioned earlier about helping transition our students from middle school to high school. Similar concept with transitioning our students from exiting high school, going off to, I guess what adults would say, the real world. Some of our kiddos do have to face reality and adult-like situations early on, so helping them transition within the institution, within high school, to continue getting the resources, the tools that they need to be successful.
Yeah, and I'd like to just, our school district, I really feel like, especially after the last several years, has made a great effort towards creating programs that aren't just created for the sake of having a program, but for actually intervening in lives. I have a room right next to robotics, and tech-driven, and that's an important part. I work with the AVID teachers through academic options to support them with students that are struggling. Work with all the different programs within the school, and it's really important that it's not, we have this program, that they're intertwined, that you're sharing kids, you're communicating about kids, you're talking about kids. One thing that we're really into is that restoration process, restoring somebody. A lot of home shows are out there right now. It's the same concept. You get someone that comes in, how can you help restore them? And how can you help them discover who they are and the potential they have, and then give them a path to success? And that's very, very important. As Brenda alluded to, many of us as adults, as young kids, as high school kids, there's a lot of barriers out there, and you don't have to judge it, you don't have to understand it, you just have to realize that it's real to them in their life, and you have to give them a path and help them through that path. And academic options give you a little bit of history, and in high school, traditionally, there is failure, and a lot of times there's not opportunities with numbers and so forth, without getting into details, for students to retake a class. Also, statistics show so oftentimes a student retaking a class is not always successful. The same pattern continues. So what we designed was a way to, one, work with teachers, use programs to deliver very good concrete curriculum so students are learning, but a chance to intervene with students one-on-one. Oftentimes it's just intervening early and working with the teacher to recover certain things so the student can continue on with class, and you're helping them kind of get caught up and so forth. But it's very much relationship building, and the district's working very hard at that piece, and it's very important. As a community member, I would suggest, to me, is digging in and talking to students and really getting to know students and the different students out there. Sometimes we grow up, or we treat school and we have this is our vision of what school is like, or this is what I did in school, I just did it. And the reality is, there's just this huge group of individuals, a microcosm of our society, and they're all at different levels, and finding out what they're really struggling with. I'm not a math-minded guy. My brother's a science guy, valedictorian, math. I never wanted to touch math again. I was in business at PSU. I struggled. I'm never going to teach math again. And then I was a business teacher, and then I started doing finance and so forth. Well, now I'm doing geometry, I'm doing algebra, and I've learned how to treat it as a learning process and a growth process. And so what we try to do is model that to our students that are presently struggling in something, and teach them, how do you treat something as a growth process, a discovery process. And I read an article, I can't remember the author of the book, but it's called Successful Failure. And failing, but making that, what do you learn from that success? And how do you build upon that? And how does that help your company grow? How does that help your students grow? And not being afraid of failure, but learning how to fail and utilize those and take risks. And so that's what we're basically trying to do, I think, as a district. I think the more we communicate, the better we are, and we're trying to do that at school. I know at Century as well. And my last plug is technology is huge. Having technology is a great piece.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on to our third question, we want to know how you think we can remove barriers for our students and staff in order to continue to increase our graduation rate in Hillsboro.
I think continuing to support our work in equity amongst the staff and students. Making sure that access is provided to all in regards to, technology and information, and just the information that we put out, making sure that it reflects everyone in our school, and, again, it can reach all students. As far as staff, having K through 12 come and work together, right now, so I'm gonna stay at the 9th grade level, we're dipping into our feeder schools so we can better prepare for those 8th graders that are gonna transition to Hill High next year. I've gotten into South Meadows about 3 times already, just having lunch with the kids, just conversing with the kids, making sure that they already have an adult they can come to once they step foot into high school. So again, I'm really big on transitions, especially this year in my role. So just better preparing those kids when they come up. It's a big part.
I think just providing interesting, hands-on, kind of relevant, just classroom activities or after extracurriculars. You guys mentioned a lot of students slipping through the cracks. When I was a freshman, I was definitely determined to slip through those cracks. I felt very disenfranchised with the entire kind of education system. And I was, kind of interested, I found the engineering class I had, I found it at the very least interesting. And I joined a robotics team on a whim because I was terrible at basketball and didn't have something to do in the winter. And it was completely transforming because it gave me something to apply myself to. And it just, it's that motivation that just puts everything back into perspective. And it truly is for everyone because from the outside, all you see is this robot we build. But no one really sees the chaos that goes on in those 6 weeks. And we're not just building a robot. We have a business team to interact with sponsors, help manage the funds, write essays describing the teams, manage PR. There's graphic design, strategic analysis. It truly is for absolutely everyone, and it's just the relevant experience is unparalleled.
Hey Nick, brag on your team a little bit. Tell the group some of the accolades that Shockwave has earned over the last few years.
So Shockwave was formed 6 years ago for the 2013 season. Well, I'll step back a bit. So Shockwave is a first robotics competition team. So what we do every year in January, we receive a challenge where we essentially, all we get is about 150-page rule manual. And then we have 6 weeks to design and create a robot from scratch. And essentially the robot challenges are the tournaments are kind of styled like a 3v3 basketball tournament. And teams from all over the place, you come to a tournament, you play randomized qual matches, and then you build alliances and that kind of stuff. So the environment is most people in the robotics competition, they think chess, but like a chess tournament. But this is more similar to a rock concert because it's super high energy. You have big 120. All these robots we build, they're 120 pounds. They're big, and they're running around on a basketball court-sized field, crashing into each other, launching objects across the field. So it's a big high energy thing. But we start in 6 weeks. We built 2 robots, and we've enjoyed a fair amount of success over our we have attended the World Championship every single year of our existence, have been a finalists there twice, and have never done worse than the quarterfinalists at the World Championship level.
Kind of going along with what he said, sometimes in order to lead a student to the massive success, all it takes is to be able to hook them and intrigue them with one simple thing. And I think that also very much relates to the career pathways. I know that sometimes it comes down to if we have enough staff, enough funding in order to be able to create more career pathways that explore more careers. So I think a big barrier that we can remove gradually through time is being able to introduce different careers that students are being exposed to so that we better their knowledge of what they want to do in college, and a lot of them don't go kind of undecided. Although that's not a wrong thing, it'd be cool to be able to have them kind of have an idea and a path to be able to follow when they go to college.
Yeah, like they both said, it's very important for us as students to also explore different, opportunities. So like as Zach's saying, there should be more, classes that are like engineering or auto tech. I know in Hill High, that's like one of the classes that we only have just Hill High, and there's some, people from Century or, Liberty or other places that come over to take that class. And, I think it's important to, make more classes like that available for other students. Like fire science, it's in Liberty, and, Hill High students go there, or from all over the high school district. And like they said, it's very important to us, like as students, so we could access all those classes, and we could explore for our future and be more decisive on what we want to do for our future.
I think having someone to look up to and a close relationship with a teacher helped out a lot. Like I said earlier, without having the support system AVID has given me, I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't be graduating in 3 months. I wouldn't have been accepted into 6 colleges. So I think AVID has had a huge role in not just my life, but a lot of these AVID students' lives. So I think allowing students to have more access to like AVID curriculum and being exposed to college and like having an option to explore different careers and having a strong support system, I think that's essential to increase graduation rates in the Hillsboro School District.
So one of the things I think is most important to help increase graduation rates is to not give up on students. I've always been a fairly high student my entire life, but some of my classmates that go to the big picture school have not. Some of them have struggled with getting good grades because of either home lives or not understanding the curriculum. It's important to not give up on those students, the students that slip through the cracks or can't seem to grasp in a bigger school, in a bigger middle school, in a bigger elementary school, the big class sizes, the ones that struggle not to understand normal teaching strategies. It's important to not give up on those students. I've had students in my class who in 3rd grade were told that they would never graduate from high school and would never make it to college. And we need to make sure that we're not letting those students believe that we're letting every student believe that they are capable of going on and being something in their life, and that they're not restricted if their families never graduated from high school or college, or they don't see parents who go off and do amazing things. They need to see themselves as someone who can do it.
I believe that if teachers try to build a more trusting relationship with their students, then that would remove the barrier. Because for me, I've had many teachers who just so sometimes I wouldn't go to school because of personal problems, and I've had teachers who would tell me that I wasn't going to graduate, and they didn't try to understand me. They didn't try to know why I was doing the things I was doing, why I wasn't showing up to school. And I feel that if teachers just tried a little bit more to connect with their students and actually find out why they're not succeeding in school, then the graduation rates would go up.
I don't want to share her story because I don't feel it's fair. It's her story, so she's the one that should have a voice for it. But I do want to mention that Priscilla is a great example of how systems can really come together to help support a student who in the past was struggling academically. Last semester she got straight A's. Not only a great student, but she's also a great mom. So, to remove barriers for students and staff, I think there's a lot of great things going on right now that's helping support that. YPP is one of them, the youth pilot program that's supporting first generation or Latino male students, primarily freshmen. So that's something that's going on in the district in all 4 high schools. At Century High School this year, we're starting also a support group for Latinas to help support and increase their graduation rates for our young women of color. Also, just making sure that we continue supporting students who want to have a safe space at school, whether that's with student clubs, student groups, after-school activities, different things like that. And also being able to create a culture of care. I know that's something that the district has been really moving towards. And with that, also putting our families into the picture. making sure that we develop a better relationship, continue to develop a better relationship, which we are. Different things like having coffee with the superintendent for our families who are either English speaking or Spanish speaking. That's something that's really been creating a lot of support because we understand that sometimes our families also need to feel welcomed in the environment to be able to go into our schools.
Yeah, they've all, I guess I get so excited when I hear kids talking about their success and you can tell, I mean, they're passionate about each and every different program. I'm talking about the big picture and I get excited about that. I'm a very much, I think, thinking outside the box. There's, business people can relate to this. You're solving, you've got to figure out what problem. And sometimes it's not in a traditional way. And if you don't think outside the box, if you don't look at different ways, then you're going to become stagnant. And we're in a system where we're pushing for-year college, which I totally is great. But there's other avenues out there. And our colleges are very traditional in the way they teach in many ways still. Yet all the kids don't fit into that. I know for me, my personal success in college were because my folks taught me some habits. I didn't like school. I like learning. I didn't enjoy going to the classes and doing all that stuff. I still don't. But I enjoy learning. I love discussion. I love hands-on. I love that piece. My son graduated, my youngest, last one through 5 years ago. And he says, I wish we would focus more on our creativity and our passion. And bright young man, very creative. He knew how to go through the steps and get the grades he needed. But thinking outside the box, robotics, what a great place to get English credit, math credit, and robotics, as opposed to taking a traditional English class. I have nothing against traditional English. I loved my lit classes. Maybe putting lit a 2-week section where you discover about literature and so forth. It's a discovery piece. But can you answer something on Shakespeare that's going to dictate if you get an A, B, or a C in an English class in high school? I think there's just different ways to look at ways to help students get credit, and the robotics was a great, you're with me on that, right? I mean, you're doing all kinds of math, writing, communication. I'm a business teacher. Back when I started, the greatest skill that helped me in college was my ability to communicate through writing, speaking, those types of things. My business classes, the marketing classes, those types of things helped me be successful in life and in college. I'm nothing against traditional classes. Like I said, my brother's a science teacher, so much smarter than I am, valedictorian and so forth. There's just, my point being, there's different paths, and to remove roadblocks, you have to look at different ways to learn. And I think if we don't do that in life, I think we would all say that. In our organizations, if we don't look at different ways, we have the hops, if they don't look at different ways to promote constantly, if they're not looking at different ways to run their business, to grow, then they're going to die. It's going to become stagnant. And if we don't do that in schools, and we don't do that in a big hurry, looking at our clientele, then our system will die. And I think we're heading in that direction. That's just my personal opinion. Removing the roadblocks, the relationships, I think everybody's hit on that. They're all different paths. Giving them a path to success. And there's still accountability, and there's ways to building standards, but it takes some creativity. And just to piggyback on here, she alluded to that. She is a great mom. She came to us in August. The counselor knew to walk her down and said, here's her transcript, this is where this is Priscilla. We, because of snow days in my summer school program, I ended up working all summer anyway, so we were there in August, and Brenda joined me there. We were doing some training, and so we said, hey Priscilla, can you come in? Do you mind coming in 2 or 3 or 4 days before school starts? And we set up a path for chemistry. We knew she was going into chemistry. We knew that would be the one course while she was out for a few weeks. It would be difficult. We set up a chemistry course. I made sure I talked with the chemistry teacher. What does she need to really work on? She rocked it. She came back. She was getting A when she left chemistry. Gone for about a month. She came back. He said, there's nothing. She had online stuff she did, a notebook. She did some stuff out. She did not miss a beat. We helped her bridge that gap, but she chose to do it. She did. I'm just so very proud of her. So, thanks.
all so much. Really quick before we wrap up, do you guys have any final thoughts you would like to share?
I just want to say that I think these programs are something that makes Hillsboro sort of unique, and it's beautiful that we can bring all these students together who've each had an individual experience in something and all come together to just share our passion for the programs that made us.
I'd just like to say, I mean, thank you everybody for being involved here. And this is, for me, this was great to get out and see faces and some familiar faces from the past. I'm such a people person, and I just believe in people, and I love it when people get together and they want to solve problems and they want to support people and help people grow. One of the questions was on here, some success stories, and this is definitely a success story right here. Another success story we had at Century 2 weeks ago, we had a fifth-year senior graduate with a diploma. The exciting thing about this young man is all he had to do was basically go and take his People in Politics final, his econ final, and he would have graduated. But he had some major emotional issues and some substance abuse issues, did not show up for his finals. We were able to get him back into school in the summer. I laid out a plan for him, much more than he would have done if he just was able to work with the teacher. But I was so concerned about him as a whole being prepared to leave. So we did lay out a pretty stringent academic piece for him in those 2 courses. He couldn't do that. I got a phone call, must have been 10 o'clock at night in October, on my cell phone. Mr. Gower, this is Alan. And sorry, I get emotional, but he was in a little village in Mexico, and they didn't have service. He was there to kind of clean up and work with his dad. So when the dad brought him into town, he gave me a call. He says, I'm going to be back in November. Is it okay if I come back? And he came back at the end of November, and we did not just hand him a diploma. It was 2 weeks ago that he got his diploma, and walked him around the building, brought him back in. He worked with our grad coaches to talk about what's the next step. That's a really scary piece. So those kind of success stories make me happy, and I just, again, thank everybody for being here.
Okay, so I'd like to encourage everyone, can we all give our panel a round of applause? Okay, so next we're going to have our table discussions, and could we have each one of our, at least one of our students at one of the tables so we can have individual discussions?
And as far as best providing the information, we talked about continuing to highlight successes and to cut through the noise. There's a lot of information out there, so all of us that are in communication have to figure out ways to cut through the noise, and you do that by being unique, you do that by being entertaining, and really hitting the message home, and just start with younger parents. So that's as far as we got, because we had a lot of chat about robotics.
Thank you, Jenny. Maybe we can now move to table 5. Who would like to speak?
So we mainly talked about how relationships and the connection with the program or person helps students move forward, and having a growth mindset helps support students as well.
Yeah, future focus to support and also support language. For the second one, it was, additional support for students. It was making sure that our pamphlets or anything that's printed is really represents our student body. We know that right now we have English and Spanish, but we're also aware that we have families who speak Vietnamese, Swahili, different languages, so making sure that those resources are also available to all our families.
I think the best way to provide information is through social media and kind of marketing and promoting student panel discussions and hearing more from students rather than community members, because I think students know what they need. teachers know what's happening, and I think that's the best way to show people what students need.
And the possibility of using the video for today from the student panel to use it as a promotion for advertisement for our community members and letting them know what they would be supporting, how they can support, and really what their investment is going into. We only got to the next one, which was what resources or support seems to be missing. We said making sure that our caseload for our student body, so not necessarily saying that 20 students in a classroom is the answer, but making sure that we get the support that we need, whether it's getting more classified staff to be able to support within a classroom. And also knowing our staff's name, strength, and need as well with professional development and supporting them with leadership and career paths as well.
Thank you very much. That's great. How about this table? Who would like to speak? Jill?
I would love to.
Right, all right.
So we actually focus mainly on question number 1, so we're gonna have to stay a couple more hours. We talked about relationships and how they're very important, and how we agree that the relationships with the students and the teachers really makes a difference, and that we needed to look at the class size with the relationship piece and how that would impact the teacher's ability to have that one-on relationship and build that opportunity to really get to know the family and get to know the parents, and to make sure that there's success all the way through. We looked at and thought about the panel, and we valued everything that was shared, but we were wondering if there would be an opportunity for an individual with special needs to participate in the panel in the future, because they also make up a lot of our students, and wanted to make sure that they had a voice. We talked about how we call it maybe you're lucky into being or having the opportunity for like AVID or dual, depending on where you live. And so looking at that and making sure there's opportunity for all, because we have a lot of wonderful things happening and want to make sure that every student has that opportunity. We didn't have the answer as to how to roll that out, we just thought we would put it in the air. And then consistency with the staff and the students and building the relationships. And we were just getting ready to talk about dual and what that looked like, and ask some of the experts here at the table, and we had to stop. So.
Table 2? Do you want?
I do.
So my table went off on a bit of a tangent. We weren't exactly following the guide, I'm sorry. But so what we mostly talked about was class sizes and mental health with students, and the idea of knowing every student by, gosh, I'm gonna butcher it, name, strengths, and need. The idea that how we work with elementary schools in the wellness centers, how those help some students find ways to cope with problems that could be happening at home or could be happening in their own bodies, and problems like that. And also the idea of helping these students deal with the problems that might cause them to lash out at other students and at teachers or isolate themselves, but also not using those as excuses. I said that my mom always says that that mental health problems and stuff can be reasons but not excuses, and putting that sort of idea into our schools. And the idea that every student deserves a grade A education.
So we talked about how language is a barrier for some parents, and how maybe if we had more like bilingual teachers or somebody who can communicate with the parents to have them like more involved in their students' academic life. And we also talked about how how the teachers can build like a relationship with like the parents. That way like the students can feel more engaged in like their schoolwork. And And also like not labeling students, like if a student seems to like not do good in school, I don't label them as like they don't want to do good, like maybe they're struggling with something outside of school, and just being more supportive with them. I feel like if teachers were like more supportive with their students, then that would build a like trusting relationship, and it would keep them more engaged.
Here, you want to walk it around to table 3 here?
Okay, hi guys. So we kind of followed the guide. A lot of the things that we spoke about here have already been touched by a lot of the other tables, but I'll just go over some of the things we talked about. So starting off our conversation, we talked about how school has changed, like a lot. Laura was talking about how when she went to school, like she hardly remembers what she did in school, and it has definitely changed over time. And she said it's changed for the better, which is a good thing, right? So it means that we're all doing a great job in society today. Also, we talked about how we didn't know about all the opportunities that our student panel was talking about, like me as well, as a student, as a freshman who goes to a school. I didn't know about all these different opportunities that we had, all of these different things that our students are involved with, and like it's great for me to be able to hear this, and our community as well, that everyone can be involved with this. It's just great. We also talked about communication with our schools, communication between our students and parents, as well as our community, and we touched on the hot news. I know that our communications team really works with the hot news, so great job, guys. So with the hot news, so Laura and Mike are both from the Hillsboro Hops, and so they are also getting these emails about the with this hot news, and this is also really beneficial to them because they know what's going on in our schools, and it's also really beneficial to parents because they know what's going on, and some students have also subscribed to hot news as well, so they're getting this information as well. And overall, we were talking about how that sense of communication is really helpful for people in our community. We also talked about how there are different like extracurriculars and opportunities within schools for students, about how we're betting like the resources we have in schools. And Jennifer was talking about how we have the equity club in schools, and it's giving her an opportunity. She wasn't really a part of this before, and because she's doing this, it gives her an opportunity to really reach out to other people as well. We talked about different resources for students in the staff and student relationship as well between those people, and I know a bunch of people also touched on that, and that just means it's something really important that we're touching on. Yeah, so overall, that's what we talked about at table 3.
Well, aside from having to walk uphill both ways in the snow when I went to school. What resonated with our group and table, that the panel showed the opportunity of a variety in the schools, and that not just one thing works for everyone, that it's giving kids value, how easy it is to disconnect for a kid. And there was a great idea that, what about a walk-in where communities come in and support? And so we have walkouts for a mission, why not have a walk-in? So Charlie's a great idea for the day, you're done. Additional information, connectivity. Adults don't know that they may be a mentor, but be open to that for kids and that it makes a difference. Teaching kids how to appreciate a leader versus just someone with a strong personality so that they can form healthy mentor relationships. Okay. And then how do we encourage kids to seek a positive role model? And it was discussed to do peer-to-peer, that teaching kids, that having the kids here today go and tell their friends about the people that they met, and then those friends would have that knowledge and go seek someone else as well, or tell someone else, and then that helps them to know what those healthy relationships are like, and also open doors for them in the future. And Also resources were element of volunteerism, and then what, we didn't get to the last two.
Thank you all very much.
All right, thank you for sharing your thoughts, and we will look forward to reading all the comments and the notes that you recorded there. A couple things as we wrap up. Forgot to announce, as Jeff was up there at the panel, that he's been nominated for Life Changer of the Year award. I remember when I won. No, I never. This is a big deal. This is a national award. To be nominated for this and to be going through this process is a really big deal. So thank you for your many efforts. We also have, under the fire alarm up there, you'll see that if you are dying to offer your volunteer services, there's some places you can sign up there that have some needs that are indicated. More than anything, Dave, wanted to thank you for coming. Thanks for the panel participants, really good stuff. And I hope you see by the programs that are being offered in the district and by the participants that were up there and by their stories that it used to be in school districts, we would think that kids do well if they want to. That's kind of what we used to think. And really we've adjusted our way of thinking, and now it's students do well if they can. And as we've shifted that thinking, you see that we have different programs in place. We're trying to meet students where they are, and we feel like we're getting more and more positive impact from that. So I hope that you see that shift occurring, and I hope that the students that are present today have felt that shift as well. Last thing I'll say is that you do have a yellow exit ticket. If you wouldn't mind making a few notes on that so we can get your feedback on the summit before you take off. And we really appreciate you being here this morning. So thank you for coming.